Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is? Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And for those of you who like these type of videos, please remember to click like down below. If you're not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. But over to the point. A large number of people have linked me a video that Richard, aka Vegan Gains, has done where he pretty much attacks Stan Efferding, his vertical diet. And I'm going to get into that a little bit, but while I don't think the vertical diet is particularly impressive, I think there's problems with it, and I could argue against kind of the marketing tactic that Stan has used. I don't necessarily support the diet. I don't. I really don't. And it's not something I would generally recommend to people at this point. Haven't looked at all of it. And there's other people who are legitimate elite level lifters themselves who've also been critical of his diet. So you have all of that happening. And then Richard went after it, and the problem is that Richard went after it with his own personal bias. And let's be realistic here. Right up front, the thing that bothers me is that he tries to blame that diet on cancer. And I think it's very obvious to anyone who understands anything in the iron game what the issue is. Realistically speaking, his diet was probably not the biggest factor there. Okay, let's come over. IFBB Pro. Okay, we already know, anyone who looks at anything related to the IFBB Pro world knows, and it's like I tell all of you guys, basically a death cult. Being an IFBB professional is basically a death sentence. Okay, it's a death cult. No one should be doing serious bodybuilding. Nobody who cares about their health or fitness would step foot anywhere near a bodybuilding stage. Fact. All right, because he's also been a world record level power lifter while being an IFBB pro, it's fair to say that there have been a lot of substances, and I don't just mean anabolics. I'm not talking about anabolics. We're talking about other things that are linked to cancer, are generally used by a lot of those guys in copious amounts, because anabolics aren't necessarily linked to cancer. HGH, IGF-1, insulin, that stuff is. Right? And to be where he's at, he's probably used very copious amounts of those things, and he's an older guy. That's almost guaranteed to be the source of his cancer. Now you throw in maybe some of the dietary practices on top of that, it probably exacerbated it, but let's come over to the real causes, okay, the other stuff. And Richard knows that, but that doesn't meet his bias, so he didn't want to go there this time. Let's come over to the other stuff. You know, Richard comes in and he always wants to use studies, but at the end of the day, when we're talking about athletes, everyone who's watching YouTube Fitness, I hope you're an athlete. And I'm going to approach this from the perspective of my channel. I assume that you want to be athletic and an athlete if you're over here watching. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Why are you watching YouTube Fitness if you don't train hard and seriously want to be fit and athletic? Why would you waste your time watching any of our channels? Why would you follow me? Why would you follow Richard? Why would you care about health and fitness online? Why would you follow Stan? So we've got to stop using stuff from the general population. Nobody cares. Because from my perspective, from a fitness perspective, the general population shouldn't exist. The non-training population should be replaced by people who train. In other words, everybody should get under a barbell. I literally believe every human being on earth who cares at all about living, who cares about not dying, should be under a barbell, and they should be doing general fitness preparedness, the minimum, right? Squats, deadlifts, general physical preparedness stuff, which would count as metabolic conditioning. That's your minimum baseline. If you're not doing that stuff regularly, multiple times a week, you don't care about your health anyways. You're irrelevant to the conversation. Why do we care about people who don't care about their health? Waste of money studying them. Over to the point. All his studies, that's what it references. Then he goes into a lot of diatribes and about this stuff, and ultimately here's what I would say about that. His recommendations are just as bad as Stan's. Literally everything that Richard talks about, in my opinion, is stuff that I wouldn't put anyone on. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't put any of my clients on. They're both wrong. Richard's not healthy or in shape. Richard's not athletic. Richard can't hang with me, and I'm in my 40s. I can promise you he can't hang with me on anything, on any major lift, particularly multiple lifts, conditioning, jumping, anything else. He's not in shape. He's not an athlete. He's a vegan who's gotten out of shape and just sits around on the camera. He doesn't train. So why is he talking about training and health? I would say to him, why don't you get back into shape, Richard? Get into shape, and I mean real shape. All right, you weigh like 230, 240. You have access to a gym. You're in the same tier of fitness YouTubers that I am in terms of channel outreach. That means you make at least $50,000 to $100,000 a year off your channel. And all of us just about offer coaching services, other stuff. You can afford to work out. Right? You don't have to work a normal 9 to 5 job doing this. You guarantee you, based on your channel size, you make $50,000 to $100,000 a year, just like everybody else in our tier. That's normal. That's before any products. So, over to the point. Over to the point. You can afford to train every day. Not a problem for you. Get into shape. So, when he goes into these diatribes about this stuff, he starts saying stuff like, well, he recommends putting this and that. And I would agree. You're right, Richard. You're right. Adding a bunch of butter to your food is not good. That's not ideal. That's not healthy. Whole fats from whole foods is a different ballgame. And we know that based upon blood work, because let's come over and let's talk about all of that. Butter, that's one of those things that I've even seen like Dr. Spencer Nadolsky talk about when he has clients who do keto, because we know that people who do certain types of keto diets, which are the highest saturated fat diets in the world, don't see elevated cholesterol if they don't add the butter, they don't add the coconut oil, they don't do the dumb stuff like the bulletproof coffee, and they're athletic and fit. They're not in a calorie surplus. We don't see the elevated lipids. Mine didn't go out of the normal range even when I was doing full keto for 6 months this year. They don't go out of the normal range till you start adding the butter. Dr. Spencer even noted that his clients who do that, the ones who do bulletproof coffee, which means they add that 500 calories of butter, they all see elevated lipids outside the normal range, and when they take it out, they go back down. Okay? Don't do that stuff. You shouldn't be adding coconut oil or butter. What was the other point Richard's saying? Well, you could add vegetable oils. If you're telling people to add vegetable oils to their foods and then accusing other people of giving advice that's going to kill them, okay, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Okay, you are doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing. You're just recommending people eat a bunch of processed, refined junk. Just that to you, because it's vegan junk, you're cool with it. Right? That's your bias. You're both wrong. You're both giving bad advice. You're both wrong. Shouldn't be adding butter or vegetable oil to your food. You should be eating whole foods. Okay? Any reasonable person understands that. So, get that out of the way. And he went on and on about the saturated fat. Saturated fat in certain diets doesn't cause these problems for athletic populations. So let's get over to the point. Where's our issue? Diet where you combine huge amounts of white rice with saturated fat. Okay, that's going to be my big issue. Stan's diet is largely based around a bunch of white rice. Bulking on white rice and high saturated fat. Right, there's your combination. There's your problem. There's your health problem. Highly refined carb, and then he wants you to add a refined saturated fats in with butter and tallow and all this stuff. Okay. That's a bad combination. But here's the problem. Richard won't address that because white rice is a vegan food. He won't touch that. He won't admit that there's your problem. An ultra-high glycemic index, highly refined carbohydrate that has an enormous insulin load combined with a bunch of butter. Well, that's the problem. If it had been potatoes or root vegetables in place of the white rice, it wouldn't be nearly as bad. We take the butter out and you replace it with even saturated fat from whole foods, you wouldn't see the same problems in the population. You wouldn't see the same problems from this. There we go. How about I propose a diet? Why don't we call it the meat and potatoes diet? Meat and potatoes diet. How's that, guys? It would just upset everybody. The vertical diet, people can say, no, white rice. Be like, white rice is a trash carb. All right? Just accept it. Get over it. Admit it. Butter is not good for you. Vegans, you guys pushing soy and vegetable oils and avoiding animal products because of your own bias? When a lot of the new data, the data just came out, I need to cover that. We just had a bunch of data come out about red meat. The experts are saying, yeah, okay, we probably are wrong. It's probably not bad. You eat lots of it. Be fine. But everybody wants to cherry pick all this stuff. And at the end of the day, What we need to understand, you want to know your key to a healthy diet is a healthy lifestyle. That means hard resistance training, heavy training. I understand heavy is a relative term, and when I say heavy, I don't mean bad form, flopping around, cheating heavy weights. I'm talking about real heavy lifting under correct programming, combined with conditioning work and general physical preparedness with a high activity level, combined with a whole foods diet that gives you all of your vitamins and minerals without taking a single supplement. Let's come over to that with the vegans. You guys have to take supplements. Your diet is an invention of the modern world. It requires you to supplement stuff because your diet's garbage and it's incomplete. Vegans will die without supplements. Eventually. Might take them 5 years. They're going to suffer enormous health problems if they cut off all vitamin supplements. All right? We need to be eating nutritionally complete, whole food diets without eating a bunch of refined garbage, and that includes a bunch of soy and a bunch of white rice and a bunch of oils, and a diet that requires us to add vitamins and minerals. And we need to be training hard and vigorously. And anybody who is promoting anything other than that does not have your best interest in mind. All right, there's your keys. That's your keys. If you want to be healthy and fit, hard, vigorous training with heavy resistance training, metabolic conditioning work, and a whole foods-based diet of some type that provides everything that you need without having to take supplements. And I'll state that again. Anyone who is telling you anything other than that is promoting a lifestyle with the intention of hurting you. And that includes Stan, and that includes Richard. That's my opinion. While we're giving our opinions on stuff, that's my opinion. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.